Patrick and my sister Maureen. I would like to congratulate all award winners and Hall of Fame inductees. You're all very deserving of your accolades. It is with great honor I present to you our first Hall of Fame inductee. Whether serving as my boss, my mentor, my teacher, or my friend, John Doherty has played many roles in my life. Most importantly, though, I'm proud to call John my father. I am grateful for the opportunity to share his story. John's interest in athletic training sparked when a teacher at his high school recommended he attend an athletic training camp one summer. John continued to pursue his interest in athletic training at the University of Notre Dame and worked as an athletic training student and was part of the 1977 National Championship football team. Go Irish! Upon graduation, John attended the University of Indianapolis and obtained a master's degree in physical therapy in 1984. In the fall of 1984, he became head athletic trainer at Munster High School, and 30 years later, he is spending his final seasons with Munster High athletic teams. From the beginning of his career, John is dedicated and has been committed to the profession while advocating for the need of athletic trainers. Shortly after beginning at Munster High School, he opened up his own physical therapy clinic. And during the time when athletic training presence in Northwest Indiana was minimal, and utilized his physical therapy clinic not only in the traditional sense, but also hired athletic trainers. Have them work in the clinic part-time and work at local high schools providing athletic training coverage. 28 years later, after his initial vision, John sold his physical therapy clinic last fall, but made sure to merge the athletic training portion with Community Hospital in Munster, Indiana. The hospital currently provides 14 athletic trainers to local high schools and one small college. John also writes a weekly sports medicine column for Northwest Indiana Times, a frequent common topic. Covered in the column is the need for athletic trainers at the high school level. John also covers topics regarding various health issues. His active involvement in the field, mixed with his relevant knowledge and versatility in writing, has led John to being a front runner for covering issues he values before they go mainstream. A great example of this is his coverage on concussions. My father started discussing what my mom likes to call the C word before concussions became a buzzword in the media. John recognized the issue and wanted to educate fellow athletic trainers, parents, student athletes, coaches, administrators, etc. Just as he was a visionary for wanting to provide athletic training to all trainers to all local high schools, he has been at the forefront of concussion management as well. A few years ago, he proposed the idea of a concussion clinic to the administration at Community Hospital in Munster, Indiana. In 2011, his idea became a reality, and currently the concussion clinic serves both the athletic community and general population in Northwest Indiana. John has also served his profession at the state level, working on the Revenue Committee of IATA, and he was awarded the IATA Joe A. Harvey Distinguished Service Award in 2013 for his services to that committee. He is also part of the State Licensure Board. Another way my father has made an impact on the profession is by leading by example. He is a mentor for future and current athletic trainers, and his influence far surpasses the typical clinical setting. I myself once dressed as him in high school during Spirit Week for homecoming, and may or may not have been mistaken for him once or twice. The crazy part about that is I decided to follow in his footsteps, and I am now a certified athletic trainer. To exemplify his impact further, my father will always be remembered for how he treated each athlete, patient, and person he came across. When I talked to a former athlete regarding why my dad meant so much to him, he had this to say. Emerson says, "To know even one life is breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded." Thousands of lives have breathed easier because of John Doherty's kindness and patience. He's a true success story. He was there when I could bench 300 pounds. He was right by my side when I couldn't lift a soup can. Even after my athletic career ended, he's always been right by my side. All current and former athletes should be so lucky to have John Doherty in their life. He's one of my heroes, but more importantly, he's one of my friends. Congratulations on your well-deserved induction to the Indiana Athletic Training Hall of Fame. My guess is many others would give similar praises. I couldn't give this speech without also thanking my mom, Sue Doherty. I speak on behalf of my siblings when I say we are truly blessed with wonderful parents. Thanks, Mom, for being willing to let Dad do what he loved, even if it meant sacrificing time at home. I couldn't imagine growing up anywhere but the sidelines with him. While I could continue to go on regarding how deserving John is to receive this honor and reminisce about his career, I'm currently enrolled in physical therapy school here and have a gross anatomy quiz tomorrow, and I need to go study for it. So with that, I present to you 2014 IT Hall of Fame inductee John Doherty.
Thank you for that introduction, Michael. What an honor to be introduced by the children who think enough about you that they do want to follow in your footsteps. Patrick, who is up here, he just came from football practice at Butler. He's the running backs coach at Butler University. Maureen is a senior at Munster High School and is planning a medical career as a nurse. And as for Michael, he explained to you his whole situation. 30 years ago, I received my master's degree in physical therapy from this fine institution. Now Michael's here in his first year in the PT program. I guess it's just a little bit of history repeating. Michael majored in athletic training, as he said, at Indiana University, and graduated with highest honors in May. Thanks very much to the help of people like Katie Grove. Is Katie here? Katie still here? Katie, stand up, please. Any other IU faculty here? How about faculty of any of the educational programs in the state? Please stand up. Without you, we don't exist. So we're Michael has had outstanding mentors since his graduation from Munster High. I'm not sure he had a really good one in me there, but definitely since he left there, he's had outstanding mentors at IU and now here at the University of Indianapolis. I've been equally blessed since day one. Your first mentors are your parents. Fortunate to have mine here today. Mom and Dad, please stand up. They steered me on this path and supported me every step of the way. They moved out here from Boston to Indiana after they retired. They still go to most of my home games. Part of being a good parent is being able to let go. And I had no idea how difficult that can be until my own children started to grow up. I say that because my parents had to let go a bit reluctantly when I went to my first Kramer camp at Northeastern University in Boston in the summer of 1976. Northeastern at the time, the neighborhood around it could be best described as rough. My parents thought that maybe I shouldn't go, and I thought they were being a little overprotective. And that first day I soon determined there was nothing to worry about. Northeastern was fine. Before going to sleep, though, I did hear some fireworks, and I wondered to myself why someone would be shooting off fireworks a month after the 4th of July. The following morning, walking out of the dormitory's front door, I noticed blood all over the sidewalk. I came to find out soon thereafter that a street person had been shot in one cheek and out the other, trying to defend a prostitute from her pimp. The remainder of the camp was much more memorable for better reasons. It was run by Coco Kasabian. Some of you may remember him. He was the head athletic trainer at Northeastern at the time, and he would become the first athletic trainer inducted into the Massachusetts Athletic Trainers Association Hall of Fame. The other person running the camp at the time was Carl Prine. Some of you may remember Carl. He was a district director. He was then head athletic trainer at Central Connecticut State University, and would be the first individual inducted into the Connecticut Athletic Trainers Association Hall of Fame. Both Coco and Carl are NATA Hall of Fame members. At the conclusion of the camp, the professionals singled out several students, and Carl announced while present, much to my surprise, that someday John Doherty would become a giant in the athletic training profession. Well, Carl, I know my mother thinks you were right. I desire to be a student athletic trainer for a national championship football team helped steer me from Boston to Indiana and specifically Notre Dame. Again, I had superior mentors. Gene Paskin and John Whitmer are both members of this Hall of Fame, and Gene is a member of the NATA Hall of Fame. I can't recall if it was my sophomore or junior year, we were playing Purdue, and Gene said he'd be right back. He had to go see Pinky. And I wondered to myself, who the heck is Pinky? I had so much to learn. 2 years ago, I was back at Notre Dame for the 35-year reunion of the 1977 national championship team that granted me my wish. I was on the field pregame, and when I noticed an ex-player in his Letterman's jacket in the front row of the stands. Tim Tripp was a freshman on the 1978 team. I motioned him for him to come down to the field and asked a nearby usher to allow him on even though he didn't have a pass. I greeted him by his full name, and the first words out of his mouth was, "You remember me?" I answered, "How could I forget? I spent a half an hour with Dr. Green taking that shattered contact lens out of Uriah at the Cotton Bowl. One of our quarterbacks had thrown a pass in practice so hard that it lodged in his face mask and struck him in the eye. Dr. Green was in his 80s at the time. He had the steadiest hands I have ever seen, and he meticulously removed that contact lens piece by piece. Tim Tripp was back in practice pain-free the next day, and it's memories like those that make this profession so worthwhile. Upon graduating from Notre Dame, I entered the PT program here, again, with superior mentors. Terry Malone, who was the program director, an athletic trainer and a physical therapist. He is now at Kentucky. Sam Kegeris, a physical therapist and athletic trainer. Sam's still here. And also a physical therapist by the name of Clyde Killian. I owe much to him. I also would learn much in the years to come from a classmate, Mark Ricardo. I learned from him how to manage a sports medicine clinic. It was his blueprint. I just borrowed heavily from it. I was recruited while still in PT school to work for a contract service in Northwest Indiana, and that is how I ended up in the Calumet region. Once there, I was placed at the Hamden Clinic, and the orthopedic surgeon there, Dr. Ron Pavelka, asked me if I would come out with him on Friday nights to Munster High School football games. After 2 years of doing that, the athletic director saw the value of having a full-time athletic trainer. Having moved on to start a sports medicine clinic at St. Margaret's Hospital in Hammond, I felt I had done my job at Munster. I was done. I convinced him to hire a full-time athletic trainer. But as the summer passed in 1987, Munster's athletic director, John Tennant, kept calling me. They hadn't been able to hire a teacher who was also an athletic trainer. Would I come back and do it? And I said no. 2 weeks later, he called me again with the same request. And I said no again. And then the third time, he called and said he had contacted a contract service. He was really unhappy with the stipulations they were putting on him. Would I come back and do it until he found somebody else? So finally I said yes. And I guess he didn't look that hard afterwards. Here I am 30 years later. I've been there this 30 years, and it's basically for 2 reasons. First is my wife. Sue, stand up. Sue, you are the love of my life. Thank you for all those Fridays and Saturdays, giving up those evenings and days for me and my teams. Sue's parents, Tom and Diane Brasso, are here. Mom and Dad, please stand up. What would I have done if you said no when I asked for daughter's hand? The second reason I've been there is been head football coach Leroy Marsh. It may be 30 years for me at Munster High, but Leroy's been there for 40, and 35 of them as head coach. At least it's almost 40, isn't it, Coach?
42.
Okay. He's in coaching for all the right reasons. All too often I hear from other athletic trainers, even recently, how they don't even want to be near their head football coach during a game. They don't want to stand anywhere near them during the sideline. For the last 3 decades, I've been proud to stand by Leroy. Leroy and Jamie Marsh, please stand up. And I've also been proud to stand by his staff. One of my best friends is line coach Tom Lagers. Tom is here. Stand up, Tommy, please. Another couple I could not have done without is Mike and Vicki Skirka. Mike and Vicki and the daughter Mary Margaret. Would you please stand up? Mike was a student manager at Notre Dame when I was a student athletic trainer. He married Vicki, my wife's best friend. Vicki, thank you for all those Friday nights and Saturdays keeping Sue company. Mike, thank you for being up on the press box on Friday nights running the clock and then coming down the field afterwards to help me clean up all those years. I don't think any athletic trainer here would disagree with regarding the value of stability on a coaching staff. Not only have I been blessed like that with the football program, but in baseball where Bob Schinken has been our head coach for the same amount of time I've been the head athletic trainer. And in our boys basketball program, I was 16 years with Dave Knish and 14 years with Mike Hackett. I would like to thank all the coaches with whom I've worked over the years. More importantly, I'd like to thank all my athletic directors, especially those at Munster, John Tennant, Mike Smith, and my current athletic director, Brian Clark. Athletic directors and athletic trainers, we keep much the same schedule, Coach, don't we? And I don't think the 2 professions could function without each other. Finally, I would like to thank the members of my own profession. Mary Spina and Joe Madrigal assisted me at Munster for most of my career. Mary, would you please stand up? Mary, not only do I thank you, but my wife and children thank you for being there so I didn't have to be all the time. And thank you also to all my student athletic trainers. As John Whitmer told me at Notre Dame years ago, you're only as good as your people. Patrick O'Haver, would you please stand up? You've already been asked to do that once, but if you stand again. Patrick is my colleague at the Concussion Clinic at Community Hospital and the head athletic trainer at Highland High School. Thank you to you and to Scott Lawrence for nominating me for this honor. My other colleagues from Northwest Indiana, please stand up. Everybody from the region. I think we do a pretty good job taking care of the athletes up there. Thank you especially to those of you who have worked for me and with me at Doherty Therapeutic and Community Hospital. Is Rod still here? Rod, other than Rod, all of you are younger than I am, and you are quick to point that out to me regularly. Sorry, Rod. You ran out of the bus. And going forward, it is you young professionals who will determine the continued growth and success of our vocation, both for yourselves and for those whom you serve. Most of my career is in the rearview mirror. The success of our efforts to obtain third-party billing will be largely up to you. Our next inductee, Clark Simpson, is leading that effort. All athletic trainers owe him a debt of gratitude. Clark, congratulations to you and congratulations to Craig Wall. I am truly grateful to be considering your company today. Thank you.